Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. More than 6 decades of doing great things for us folk living in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, it's financial literacy, it's the arts, it's running, it's pride, it's Alzheimer's. They are involved in so many great causes. We're thrilled to be chatting with our friends from Front Runners and Walkers. Ken Pahkim is a member of this astute group. How you doing there, Ken?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely, and with your colleague, Josh Caluza. He is a assistant vice president of talent, brand, and internal communications for Mission Fed, but he's the Mission Fed Pride Employee Resource Group member as well. So we're going to be chatting about this. We'll start with you, Ken. What is the premise of Front Runners and Walkers, and how long you've been in business? Talk about that.
Well, Front Runners and Walkers of San Diego is an LGBTQ plus running club. The club is very focused on providing a safe space. Originally started out as a haven for gay people who did not want to frequent the bars and they wanted to do something else, and really find like-minded people who wanted to exercise. And so we started out in the park at Balboa Park at 6th and Laurel, and that's where we kicked off, and we still meet there, several times a week.
Now, how much, when you started this, how many years ago?
Well, the club started in 1981.
Okay, right. And you got involved in 2000?
2001. So I've been around a little while.
2001.
And I joined the club because I was afraid to go to the bars.
Right.
And I did not know what to expect. And I said, I'll do a little run-walk thing and find someone, maybe there'll be someone there that, can encourage me to be myself. And I met my husband there.
Nice.
As well. Not then, but during, shortly after that.
Well, cool. Very cool. Josh, how long have you been involved with the Front Runners?
So with the Front Runners and Walkers, I think Mission Fed's been engaged with them for about 5 years or so. So it's been a really cool relationship to be a part of.
Right, exactly. So is it all leading up to a run itself, Ken?
Absolutely, yeah. So we meet and exercise 4 or 5 times a week, and our biggest event is the Pride 5K. It's a highlight of our activities. The goal of that is to make the run and the club accessible to people of all athletic abilities, to youth, to anyone that's older, to anyone that just wants to come out and just share and be, just enjoy the San Diego sunshine, which we're very lucky to have. And so the Pride 5K started many years ago. My first Pride 5K was actually in 2003. And if I can tell a little story, if you don't mind.
Please do.
When we ran, it was like 150 people, and we were still using pens and pencils to record numbers and bibs and putting people in line when they came out of when they finished the race. And now we've grown to over 2,000 runners, and our goal this year is to be at 2,400 runners. And we're very close to that already, so we're really excited. Right,
so Josh, and you jump in it too as well, Ken. The race on the 18th, July 18th, is when the Pride 5K will be, right? Where does it start? Where does it end?
I think Ken is the better person for logistics.
Well, we start in the heart of Hillcrest. We're starting at University and Richmond Streets.
Know where that
we usually
is?
Start at the LGBT Center, but
Okay.
because it's construction going on right now, we've moved our start line a little. But you're still doing the 5K, and we'll run along the parade route out to Balboa Park and back. And the great thing is that people are already setting up for the parade that starts right after that at 10 a.m. So the race starts at 8 o'clock. We have a kids dash at 7:30 a.m.
Nice.
A little 100-yard dash, and we have the young ones out there having fun as well. So we encourage families to come out. And so the parade, as I said, the parade route is aligned with people excited about what's happening the rest of the day with the festivities, and so you have a built-in cheering squad.
No, I think that's great. Josh, why is Mission Fed involved?
Mission Fed isn't just about helping the community. We like to be part of the community,
right?
And it is a huge deal. Mission Fed has a huge commitment to making sure that all of our team members belong and feel like included in everything that we're doing. And as you had mentioned, we have a Pride ERG that I help lead. And to show our involvement in the Pride 5K and to be out there in the community to support a cause that we deeply believe in is huge for us. And so just to be out there, and I like to think about the 5K as, usually you say, oh, so and so walked so that we can run. But it's actually the other way around for the Pride 5K. We run so that the rest of the parade can walk, right? Because it's along the same route. And it's kind of cool to be able to be on the streets and be there, feel the energy of the people around you. Knowing that I'm there on behalf of a company that I care about and I believe in our mission, it means a lot.
Right. How many Mission Fed members will be participating?
So we are committing to at least having a good group of about 20 people there.
Nice.
And we are encouraging many others to be part of it because it's a great event.
Yeah, and Mission Fed is always out, and as I mentioned earlier, on top of their game when it comes to doing important community gigs and all that business. So Ken, you participated in how many of these 5Ks now? Ever since 2000?
Ever since 2001, except when I've not been around. But,
okay.
Most of them.
Right.
And then more as a volunteer recently, just because the organization of the race has become so big that we need a large cadre of volunteers as well to support us.
Right. So are you eventually going to outgrow the race route?
We hope not. We think that the 5K is going to be just the right pace for...
but what if 8,000 people want to participate?
Oh, we'd love to see that day.
Well, listen.
Drew, you're going to have to help us get those people there.
Well,
if you join us, you'll be, 8,001.
Well, there you go.
Mission Fed will join us, and they'll bring the entire group to us, and that'll make it fantastic. That'll be a great story to tell.
And then there's going to be a credit union challenge. So it'll be Mission Fed and Schools First and California Coast, and now there'll be a challenge. What do you think about that? You'll be at 8,000 next week. In that aspect of it, we're chatting with Ken Pahkim. He is a member of the Front Runners and Walkers. They're all getting ready for the Pride 5K Run and Walk, which will be on July the 18th, joined by his colleague Josh Caluza. He's an AVP of Talent Brand and Internal Communications with Mission Fed and part of Mission Fed Pride Employee Resource Group. Drew Schlosberg, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. When you see this group, you're expecting about 2,500 this year, correct?
Correct.
It looks like, and it seems, you started with 150, you were saying, and a few suitcases and all that business back in the day. But are we seeing the same people? Are they bringing in new people? Is it a different 2,500? Talk about that.
That's a really good question. We've, with the growth, we've seen sponsors join us, and they have bringing in a whole new contingent of supporters. And in the difficult times that we've had companies drop in and drop out.
Right.
Just because of new policies.
Correct.
And we're so proud and so grateful to Mission Fed to be standing by us through this entire time. And regardless of what's happening around, that they are still supportive of our community, donating and being a platinum sponsor, being a diamond sponsor with us. And so they bring in a whole cadre. We've seen a lot of families join us because there's the allyship around it. They know that their children may be part of the community. They want to support them. And then also we have some good runners who keep coming back.
Right.
And year after year, and that's a one time that they enjoy being out running and having the best time, not worrying about a personal record, putting on a tutu, dressing up, and just enjoying the festivities, being with the community.
Yeah, as it should be. And Josh, as you had mentioned earlier, and it's sort of in the DNA at Mission Fed and has been for its inception, is they not only just support an event, they're in it knee deep with their employees in that aspect of it as well. And I think really to Ken's point, when you see and hear about those organizations through thick and thin, no matter what is going on externally, they're going to be with you, no matter what is out there. Really says a lot about Mission Fed, of course, and your team in this aspect. What do you like personally most about this event and working with the front runners and walkers?
I'm not a runner. I am not a runner.
But we welcome you. That's why
Yes,
we welcome everyone
yes.
of all abilities.
Yes,
That's why we're excited
and
that you're there.
Yeah, I know. And the first time I ran, I'm more of a lift heavy things in a closed space, and everything's fine. But you get me to run, and I'm just winded. But my first Pride 5K, I did decently well. I did, the time was way better than I thought. And I think that every time you step foot on the 5K path, it's not a long distance necessarily.
3 miles.
But it is a test of your mental and physical fortitude if you don't practice on a regular basis. And so I think for me personally, being able to do that, but then also be among people who are there with you and for you, and that support, that energy means so much to me personally, because it's more than just being physically fit. It's also being seen and valued and understood by your community. That is a huge piece of this puzzle that is different than other 5Ks.
Well, we say this quite a bit on our show, whether it's dealing with, the LGBTQ plus crowd, or dealing with folks that are on the spectrum, or people that are, I hope I live to the day when we don't put any of these, things on folks. And there's none of this. I hope I'm alive when that happens. Maybe I'm maybe a Pollyanna, but I don't know. In that aspect, and the more you start with 150 people now to 2,500, and then it keeps on growing. It's obviously sending, that message. We come back from break. We're going to talk about this year is benefiting the LGBT Center's youth housing project. I want to talk a little bit about that, and so what you folks are doing for that, what that looks like, what our listeners can do to support it, get a little more details about the Pride 5K run on the 18th, and again, as a whole, what can people do to support front runners and walkers when we return with Ken Pahkim. He is a member of this august group. He'll be participating in your 20th, 23rd, something in there.
Let's not count that high.
We won't count that high. Very good. And joined by his colleague, Josh Caluza from Mission Fed Credit Union. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. We'll be right back after this very short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Our Spotlight shows in its 20th year, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're very proud of that. Mission Fed, of course, anyone who's spent any time in San Diego knows what a great community supporter they are. So many different causes. Just thrilled to have in the studio with us today from front runners and walkers, Ken Pahkim. They are heavily involved in the July 18 San Diego Pride 5K run walk, joined by his colleague Josh Caluza, an AVP of talent brand and internal communications for Mission Fed, and also a member of Mission Fed Pride Employee Resource Group. Ken, I'll start with you on this, and then you can certainly add to it, Josh, if you'd like.
Sure.
This year is going to benefit the LGBT Center's Youth Housing Project and San Diego Pride Community Grants. Talk about both of those.
Yes, a lot of the, when you start out in life, you think that you get the support of your entire family, but unfortunately a lot of youth who do come out are estranged by their families and just sort of targeted, and so they run away or they need to find a safe space. And so we provide that with the option, with the opportunity to be around us and in the community. But then there's that contingent where you need to find housing, you need to find place to survive. And the LGBT Center has a youth housing project here in Hillcrest. Our funds go towards that.
Nice.
Our funds go towards that, and they provide, bedding, help them get there on their feet, just get them through the first phases of that difficult time where they feel they're abandoned. And then the other part of the funds go towards the Pride community grants, where they support other associations and causes that help the youth.
Right. So obviously you got the big event coming up on July 18, but you guys are doing things more than just through July 18, right?
Yeah, we meet year round. Great question. We meet 4 times a week to run and walk. So I'm looking at you, Josh. You can come and walk and run with us 4 times a week.
Maybe I can practice. Yeah,
you can.
That's right. Yeah, well, maybe we'll make it an 8K, and then you can do your 6 miles in that aspect of it.
And then we partner with other running groups,
as
well as other sporting groups that are within the community. And we also do the water stations at the San Diego America's Finest City Half Marathon. So we support that on a volunteer basis. And we also set up cheering squads for the other races that we have. On a monthly basis, we meet socially. Sometimes I think the great avenue to our club is to meet socially and then discover that we're walking and running and do both. But we meet socially to just with other clubs, with other organizations, and do that frequently.
Now, are when you guys do the meeting and you're doing your running, is it always in the Hillcrest area? Is it outside? Do you go to North County? Do you go to East County? Do you go to South Bay?
We do have a North County branch as well. That meets every Saturday. They meet in McGee Park on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. And they do a walk run there along the coast as well.
Right.
And our runs in Balboa Park are on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And on Sundays, we meet at different areas around San Diego, so you get to enjoy San Diego for what it is. They meet at Coronado, they meet down at Mission Beach, somewhere along the water, so something a little more interesting.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. You heard me talking about earlier, one of these days, I hope we live in a stigma-free world, again. Sounds like it's a Pollyanna statement, which no one's accused Drew and Pollyanna in the same sentence, I'll tell you that right now. But that all said, the more we're doing this, are you seeing that people are becoming, I'll start with you on this, Ken, and you add to it, please, Josh, more understanding, more accepting, or you haven't seen much of a needle move? And I know that's a tough question.
It's a very tough question right now. Every time we think we see progress, then somebody tells a story of how they feel they were discriminated against, or they feel something was taken away from them. But then they come back to us and they say, you know what, I had a difficult time at work, or I had a difficult time here, but being around my chosen family, the running group, that helps. And sometimes you hear from younger people who come to us and say, I've had such a difficult time. This is sort of my, my way to feel that, give myself a sense of security, build my own confidence. And they do that through the athletic ability, especially when you're younger, you're able to do that. So we're very fortunate. And we've created some sort of mentorship around it. We embrace people from the teenagers up all the way up to the 70s and 80s. I have someone who just came out in 35 because he was so afraid of coming out at work. He did not feel that he was in a safe space. And I mean, he's 35. And if you think about it, you think we've made it easier. And if someone lived with that kind of fear, it's very difficult to fathom, because we think we've won the battle, and then you hear about different policies and how, I'm sure, Josh, you working here, you create a wonderful culture and environment, but I don't think every company does that.
Yeah, and which is really no excuse. So, yeah, Josh, why don't you talk about, the environment here? We all know how great it is. I'm a little prejudiced. I've been working with you guys before your grandparents were born, I'll tell you that. But talk about that.
It is interesting, because I think that while things oscillate back and forth in terms of policies and that sort of thing, our involvement in the 5K also gives you a little glimmer of hope, right? When we do the call out for people to join the 5K, it's not just people from our the Pride ERG that are joining it. And I think that the simple fact that people who are outside of the LGBTQ plus community are allies, people are feeling more like they have to step up, because it is what they need to do to make people feel more seen, more heard, more valued, that they're stepping up and joining. Simple events like this. It's interesting how a 5K, there's so many 5Ks out there that are earn a medal, get a t-shirt, good for you, you did your 5 kilometers. But when you tack on a cause like Pride and you see the organizations that it supports, it really puts purpose to your steps when you're out there. And knowing that somebody who isn't necessarily having the same experience as you, but wants to validate your experience and wants to uplift your experience, is there with you, that's a huge deal. So in terms of the needle moving, it may not be happening on a macro scale as much as we'd like, but on a micro scale, like everybody who joins is a little ripple in that change.
Well, you hit something I was going to bring up too, and whether you're in the LGBT space or you're not, doesn't make a difference. This is stuff that you need to be standing up for. Yeah. And the ones that are not on the space need to be sitting there being very vocal about this is why this is important to do, and we're not going to accept anything other than you need to accept everybody in this thing. So it's unacceptable not to accept, if you know what I'm talking about.
Drew, if I could add to that, if we can make a difference in one person's life,
correct.
Next, when we do the race, to help them feel confident and brave about who they are, I think that's what we aim to do. So we keep our race at a low cost, $54, right? That's probably one of the lowest price entries for any 5K these days.
That's right.
But we want to make it accessible to the youth. To make it accessible, so when it gets too expensive, then they can't participate. But we want to give them, the opportunity to be part of something, and to be surrounded by love, by support. So, Josh, you said, sometimes it's that whole physical. You have everybody around you walking, and you feel good. But I think it's also the mental support that you get. And you feel pride that you can walk along other people who are not just, LGBT, but allies. And we have a family that comes to us, a great friend of mine, we became friends. And he said, I want to help support. How can I do that? So he started running. He now brings his wife, and he now brings his son. And now his son runs with us. And they're all, it's that community. And so opening up the eyes and educating the youth that it's okay to accept everyone is important.
Well, and people have to be vocal and share this. My daughter's a teacher in the Poway School District, and is very bullish when it comes to these types of things in a very positive way. And this is my business partner, Charles Parisi, the CEO and founder of Cloudcast, knows my daughter's not short of sharing her opinion, which is good, in this aspect of it. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 plus years of just doing great things in our community. Honored to have in the studio with us today Ken Pahkim from Front Runners and Walkers, getting ready for the July 18 Pride 5K race, joined by his colleague Josh Caluza, Assistant Vice President of Talent, Brand, and Internal Communications for Mission Fed Credit Union and member of Mission Fed's Pride Employee Resource group on this. Are you looking for sponsors of front runners and walkers? One, do you guys have sponsorship or not? And if you're not, you should. Yeah.
We do have sponsors. We're very lucky to have sponsors.
Okay.
And, Mission Fed leads it every year for the Pride 5K.
Right.
And
but does your club have sponsors itself?
Well, we keep them as partners and are continuing partner
Beautiful.
throughout the year. But sometimes it's a big ask. To we're competing with other organizations. Obviously,
of course.
We're a nonprofit. So we are, Front Runners and Walkers is a nonprofit. So we try to operate at, with minimal funds, most of it going back to supporting all the administrative activities. But one of the things as we see policies coming out, around, bans on this and that and so on, we try and sort of put out there that come to us, we will accept you, no matter, who you are. And we've had a couple companies that just drop out, and just dealing with that on and off thing with the sponsorship is kind of very challenging because for us.
I can understand a sponsor dropping off because their funds aren't there. They've had a decrease in whatever they've done and all that. And the other reason is no excuse. This is me speaking in that aspect of it. And this is why you can't shine a light on this stuff enough. I'm preaching to the congregation, obviously, on that, and a company that supports this aspect, on this. But the big event is the Pride 5K, right? But is there other stuff that's going on? We sort of talked about it earlier. Are there things like around the holiday season?
Oh yes, we do we do a little bit of fundraising, and we have a bake-off, at the holiday season at our holiday party, and so we contribute to other charities as well when we can.
Right.
So we support the LGBT. We send out a cadre of the Pride organization does a Dining Out for Life, and so we send out a cadre. We advertise that we support the community wherever we can, highlighting things that give back.
Right.
There's Padres, they do the
Out at the park.
Mm-hmm. So we try and do, I think we sent 50 people. I mean, who knew that, all these runners were so interested in baseball. So with all that, so we try and align with a different organization so that we become supportive. So in terms of that sponsorship, there's sort of that halo effect that we're part of something.
Right.
As opposed to actively seeking out, because we're such a small group.
Right.
In terms of,
Right. I'll start with you on this, Josh, and we'll pivot over to Ken. What can our listeners do to support you folks? Obviously, July 18, get your running shoes on, or whenever you do the runners. What else can we do?
Definitely. Not just get your own shoes on, but get other folks to get their shoes on and join. And if they're not runners, they don't have to run. Like Ken was saying, it's not just about being the fastest time. I've seen people out there strutting. I've seen people out there dancing out in the street for as long as they can for the thing. It's not about, it's about being in the energy of pride, I think. And so, get people to come and join, and not just yourself, but your friends, your family, anyone who wants to support the cause.
Right, very good. How about what can do to even grow front runners and walkers?
Well, Drew, thank you for that. And thanks to Mission Fed, putting the word out there. Partnerships like this, getting you involved, helps us get the word out about our organization.
Of
so
course.
That's fantastic. So from a front runner, from the Pride 5K standpoint, we're already at 2,000. We're going to cap it out at 2,400. So absolutely, get out there, sign up, and if you can't run or walk on the day of, we have a virtual option.
Right.
So you can do that anyway, so there's no excuse. In fact, we still have some people who joined during COVID when we did a virtual run. They are actually still running around the world. I'm not, from that standpoint. So there's no excuse. We have about 100 virtual runners, and if you don't want to do any of that, you can volunteer, or you can donate directly on our website at frwst.org, and we have a dedicated Pride 5K page. For that.
Well, listen, I can't thank you both enough for coming on and chatting about this, a very important event, very important thing you're doing. We can't talk about this enough. We all know these issues come up not just around Pride 5K run. They come around on November 11th or December 15th. It doesn't know any dates and all that. Need to be supportive of this great cause year-round, and really appreciate you sharing that. Hoping for your 2,400 to 2,500 runners on July the 18th, and then I'm sure there'll be some other things we'll love to talk about throughout the year.
So, Josh, we're going to come out and see you running and
Yes,
walking
you will
without
see me
throughout
there.
the year?
Yes, we'll try. You'll see me on the 18th for sure.
Okay, great. We look forward to having you there.
Very, very good. Ken Pahkim, he is a member of the Front Runners and Walkers, joined by Josh Caluza from Mission Fed Credit Union, Big Pride 5K on July the 18th. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union, and we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.